Vice President Harris now beating former President Trump on predicted election betting. Predicted is a large online political prediction market, often called a stock market for politics. I'm going to call it now. 49-state landslide Kamala Harris. You heard it here from Tim Pool. Look at this. Predicted says Kamala Harris is going to win, baby. We know it. The polls, general election polls from Civics and Daily Kos, which is far left. Kamala Harris is up 4. And then I think we have another one. This is Polymarket betting odds showing that in only about 2 weeks, Trump's odds went from 64% to Kamala's 29% to Trump 54, Kamala 44. And that is as of, I believe, just, is this today? I believe it's today. No, it's yesterday night. So Trump is sinking in the prediction market. Kamala is on the rise. And we've got this from 538. This is Nate Silver's new Silver Bulletin. When it was Joe Biden, he said, the election isn't a toss-up. Biden can't win. Today, he says the presidential election is a toss-up. His new model has this map. All right. Well, based on the leanings here, chance of winning, Pennsylvania is leaning slightly towards Trump. Then you've got Michigan, Harris, Wisconsin, Harris. So it looks like right now, actually, Kamala. So this puts Trump in the favorite position to win, 287 to 251. But Pennsylvania is slim margins. And that's why she's likely going to pick Shapiro, which gives her 270 to win. I'm calling it. It's not really a 49-state landslide, but it looks like Kamala Harris is going to win.
Well, and it's worrisome. The fact that we went from, we knew Trump was going to absolutely smash Biden in every single way, and then they prop up Kamala, and then now you see this massive shift, and a lot of it could be manufactured, but I'm worried that it isn't. You see, I will say, I saw some reporting from the Meg the Stallion concert, and man, how far we
Are you sad to have not been on the ground for that one?
So sad, because it was hilarious. It's like, how far have we fallen as a society that, you have chicks twerking on stage, being vulgar, to open for a presidential candidate. And it says a lot. And, the fact, if America elects Kamala, I think we're cooked. I really do. And it's sad. I try not to black pill.
I think it's a little disconcerting as well. And you also have a thing where, like, you were talking about it being manufactured, and perhaps it's not manufactured. I think right now it is 100% a propaganda machine. Yep. But there's a reason that propaganda is perpetrated, and it's because it's effective. So all it needs to do is perpetrate enough. All it needs to do is sink in enough, and suddenly, it has been manufactured, yes, but that doesn't mean it's not going to work.
Well, we saw this in 2020, and I think this is the hardest the media machine has worked in a very, very long time. They're working overtime.
And they're lying so hard. Mm-hmm. Like, there's so many lies. And part of the problem, too, is as conservative and independent media outlets, we have been so effectively sidelined, and the narrative has been so entrenched on the left and in, the popular media and stuff, that it's very hard for us to break through. And it's not just hard for us to break through, it's hard for us to be found by readers and viewers who want to, bust the narrative, who are starting to ask questions.
Well, if X didn't exist, if Elon Musk hadn't bought it, we would be dead in the water.
Screwed.
We'd be absolutely screwed. They'd win every election in a landslide. And the way that you see the sidelining of real media, it speaks a lot on how I think this next election is going to go.
Yeah.
Something doesn't quite make sense here at Predict It, because they've got Kamala at 54 cents yes and Trump at 50 cents yes, and then RFK at 2, and then a bunch of single cents. So my understanding is that it's supposed to equal $1. The idea being that if you were to buy a share of Trump at 50 cents and he wins, then that share is worth $1 to cash out. So how does this make sense?
Doesn't make sense.
Well, it basically means right now, if you bought both Kamala and Trump, then what does that mean? You're looking at a guaranteed win? You could bet on both of them?
That's weird.
Somebody's screaming uniparty somewhere.
No, I guess not, because Kamala's going to pay you out from 54 cents. She's the favorite. So you're going to get an additional, 46 cents on every 54 cents you bet. For Trump, it's 50 cents on 50 cents. So I guess if they were both slightly lower, you're guaranteed to win. You just bet on both.
Well, I think Trump is making a fatal mistake, too, in the way that he's campaigning. Is one, he's not on X. It would be massively different if he was on X. He needs to come back. He needs to put Truth Social away in the pocket. It's insane that he is still making all his statements on that platform. Like, it makes me think he almost doesn't want to win at this point, especially with all the energy that's behind Kamala. And then he's going to black journalist conventions, which, granted, hilarious. I think it was funny. There was a lot of memes out of it, but memes aren't going to win you an election. This isn't 2016. He needs to be catering to his base, which is white males. And we never see that. We always hear the talk of, the black vote, the Latino vote, all these things, but you never hear the word white. Like at the debate, I remember literally sitting there watching it with my wife, and the amount of times that, black Americans this, black Americans that, but they didn't say anything about a white American a single time throughout the debate. And it just confuses me on, the aspect of why are you catering to a demographic that is not going to vote for you instead of the demographic that is going to overwhelmingly try and put you in office.
I agree with you. And some polling shows that he's actually been losing support among like rural white voters. So it's interesting because it does seem like this is almost taking for granted, which we've accused the Democrats of doing with, voters of color and like voters in the Bronx and stuff like that. I have this kind of weird feeling, which is like, I'm almost glad that it's back to being competitive, because when it was so clear that Trump was going to dominate Biden, there is a like morale raising effect. On the other hand, conservatives, Republicans get so complacent. And I almost think there is a benefit in back to having to say like, you have to work for this. You have to earn the voters. We have to go back to the drawing board, reevaluate how Donald Trump is campaigning. We have to be serious about winning this. And part of that is getting people to the polls. I just think I know so many people be like, well, if he's going to win, I won't even go. Like, that's what frustrates me. I do think that Donald Trump is doing a bad job of playing into the media cycle, like you've both mentioned. They're really lockstep. Kamala Harris, those two white guys on the Republican ticket are bad, and just hammering everything home. Whereas I feel like actually Trump should stop doing stuff with mainstream media, and we should stop talking to them for a while. He should only go to alternative outlets and independent, because number one, they've been there for him for a long time, and also it's the only way to break this iron grip they have on the cycle.
I think you make a really good point, because if Trump started just doing things with, Timcast and Post Millennial and Tenet and Daily Wire and all of the other dailies out there, and then the mainstream legacy outlets would have to cover what all of us little guys are doing, and that would be a way that, but they don't want to do that.
No, they don't want to do that. And to your point, like, yeah, maybe it would be more effective. You get more direct punches if Trump were on X. On the other hand, the reason Truth Social worked is because everyone had to go there to hear from him, right? And so in some ways, like, he should come on platforms like this. He should talk to Post Millennial. He should talk to small local newspapers. He should never grant a major outlet an interview again, because it completely shifts back to the populist nature of his campaign. It's ridiculous to say, it's fine if you want to go campaign on race issues. You want to go to the Black Professionals event and whatever, but I just don't think that's as effective as returning to the populist roots and saying, I don't want to talk to, the corporate elites or people who are being presented by them. I want to talk to people who are my key core supporters all the way through.
That's what Charlie Kirk keeps saying, is like, go hard on the base and get the base out. Yeah. Just get the base out. Just do that.
Well, that's why Trump said, Christians, my beautiful Christians, I'm a Christian. You got to vote for me.
Catholics for Trump.
You got to come out. You got to vote just this once. You got to vote for me, and then you never got to do it again. I'll fix it so good you'll never have to vote again.
And the media said he was being a dictator.
That's right. But that's why he said it, because he's like, they don't vote.
No.
Conservatives don't vote.
Well, that's the problem with conservatism, too. It's like, what are you conserving if you're not willing to actually go out and vote for your candidate? It's insane.
Isn't our religion,
And I get that, but it's like, if you want to actually have effective religious beliefs, you want abortion restrictions, you want all these things as a Christian, but you need to have a candidate that's willing to do it. And if you're not going to vote, you're never going to have one.
Libby, you are correct that for the left, this is their church. And so the polling station is them tithing. It's their church. And for the right, they're like, I'm going to go to church. But that's shocking to me, because imagine having a mandate from God himself, and then you're like, but I'm not going to participate.
Well, literally,
that feels
Christian
like
faith,
empty words.
We are called to try and make the world essentially as Christian as we can. We're supposed to bring as many people to heaven with us as possible, and we're supposed to instate policies. We are literally required to instate policies that reflect our faith. But now you see this almost basically cucked out version of Christianity, and we saw it at the Olympics. You see it all around the world. People criticize Christianity and mock Christianity on a level that we've never seen before, but you never see the same energy for Islam or Judaism or other religions because people realize that modern day Christianity, these people aren't going to stand up for what they believe in. They're not going to actually vote their beliefs in.
That's all it is. And I'll stress this too. You know, after the Olympics scandal with the opening ceremony mocking the Last Supper and Christianity, many people made the point, they would never do this with Islam, and so did I. But I got no beef with Islam on this one. They did not insult Christianity. Certainly the Abrahamic religions are at odds often, but they didn't say anything. No. I'm mad with the left in claiming that it's hate speech. You're not allowed to offend us, but then they decide that they can't offend. However, we know why they wouldn't ever dare offend Islam. And it's because
it gets bombed.
It's because Islam is not going to accept it, be it as extreme as a terror attack. We saw what happened with Charlie Hebdo. We saw what happened with that. But Christians won't do anything. And I'm not saying anything near as crazy as that. I'm saying they don't vote. You'd think that seeing the Olympics would light a fire under every Christian in this nation, even if they're non-practitioners, to be like, wow, things are getting out of hand. I better go vote. I'm hoping that's the case. I
can tell you right now it isn't, because I did a man on the street the other day, literally in Utah, which granted a lot of people are LDS. Personally, I wouldn't classify that as Christian, but they believe in Jesus Christ. They believe in the Holy Trinity. They like Jesus Christ. And I talked to a lot of these people and I showed them this image where they watched the ceremony and they're like, no, it's not mocking God. And it's like, how is that not mocking Christians when it's literally on display? The lead organizer of that, the girl that was in the middle, posted on her Instagram story saying it was the Last Supper and that they were mocking it directly. But you have a lot of Christians that are just scared to stand up. And I really don't understand it. As somebody, I vote, I do all the things, I want my values instated. We see that with Islam. I mean, look at what's going on in Europe right now. They're quite literally taking over. Their religion is taking over completely, and it's because that they believe their values should be instated in the government, and that's what's wrong with modern day Christians, and it's disheartening as one, because it's like, when are you guys going to stand up?
But I think part of it is that we have a lot of Christians in name only, right? People who maybe went to church on Easter and Christmas, and they would check the box saying they're Christian, but they don't practice at all. It doesn't actually help them frame their decision making. These are often the same people who are saying, like, I'm so lost in life. I don't know what my purpose is. I feel incomplete, right? Like, there are people who know they are lacking something, but also don't actually pursue any sort of religious practice. They're the ones saying, oh, well, no, Joe Biden is Catholic. He's definitely Catholic, right? He's for sure. He's for abortion, but that's fine. I mean, they would never hold themselves to a standard because they don't actually want to have to adhere to these higher
There was an interesting thing where, wasn't it like the Archbishop of San Francisco or something like that was saying that he wouldn't give Nancy Pelosi communion because of her stance on abortion. So
a couple of them have.
Yeah, so I was and people were like horrified that the Archbishop would do that. I was in the Chicago Art Institute recently, and is it that where it was? Anyway, there was this big painting of this knight being excommunicated because he wouldn't apologize and look for forgiveness for having committed some horrible war atrocities. So there is precedent for just kicking people out because of what they do in their public life.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that Catholics for a very long time do not stand up for that. And I think a lot of that goes back to disagreements over birth control and abortion.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I'm glad that you mentioned, Christians in name only, because that is, sadly, it is the largest population of Christians in the world. I'm pretty sure it's something along the lines of over 80% of Christians don't read their Bible. Mm-hmm. And it may be once a year, which is absolutely insane. That is your book of faith. That is God's word, and you're not going to read your Bible. Instead, you say, no, I'm Christian, I believe in Christ, but they never actually practice the values. I was very happy to actually see it. Was funny. They literally did the meme of where you have all the raging leftists and, all the abortionists on one side screeching, and then it's the Muslim and the Christian standing together. And it's like, together? Yes. And, Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate came out in Romania, and they held a little mock protest. And, they had the visual of the Last Supper and then what happened at the Olympics. And it's like, that's what we need. We're more similar to Muslims, and I don't support their religion, but at least they respect Jesus Christ and they're anti-abortion. And, you need to be essentially voting in the polls like Islam does, and they do. I mean, they've taken over France, they've taken over all these places, but Christians are just too scared to actually come out and be real Christians.
There were a lot of
is my friend.
Exactly.
Right. There were a lot of Muslim parents, I believe, in Michigan who protested against the transgender ideology being brought into schools, right? Like there are things that they are saying we're not willing to tolerate because of our religious beliefs. And I don't know why when Christians do that, they get so embarrassed.
There's literally a place in Florida, I forget the name of it, where Muslims banned the use of pride flags and trans flags in their city. They banned all of that, and then you had a bunch of people freaking out.
Hammontrank?
I think so. It's somewhere fairly close to.
Michigan.
It's like an hour away from Port Charlotte area, but I think something in Michigan did too. But even in Florida, like you see them doing this time and time again. But Christians are like, oh no, inclusivity, that's okay. We need to turn the other cheek, and they're reading the Bible wrong.
Thanks for watching this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to check out the live show Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. on this channel. Subscribe, and we'll see you all there.